I'm standing outside the perimeter of the Northern Pulp Mill, a long-standing and very robust pulp mill near Pictou, Nova Scotia. It's a mill that employs thousands of people and one whose future is uncertain because of a back and forth between the government, the mill, the workers, and a nearby First Nations community. At heart is a plan for the mill to export its effluent to the Northumberland Strait, to build a pipeline that would do it. Now, this isn't just about dumping waste into the water. The company is also prepared to build a new water treatment plant that would actually make it so that the product that is being put there is clean in nature and not environmentally harmful. And what's happening is the company is not expecting special treatment except for to say, we want you to investigate and do an environmental assessment of this so that we can protect jobs and make our plans and start working on this thing as soon as possible. But what's happening is the Premier of Nova Scotia is dickering around and saying that the company needs to do more, that they need to offer more information, and that its process has not been sufficiently science-based. The federal government has had ample opportunity to intervene, but has not done so. Environment Minister Catherine McKenna has said we need to understand the impact on climate change that this will have. But what's interesting is that the Liberals have already decided to throw away the rule of law when it came to SNC-Lavalin because of this idea that jobs might be at stake. Yet jobs are also at stake here, and for whatever reason that hasn't even motivated the government not to intervene to break the rule of law, but just to speed up the bureaucratic process on this. Now, the reason I'm in town is because I'm interviewing George Canyon, who is a Conservative candidate in Central Nova and one of the people aiming to represent the thousands of workers, many of whose jobs are on the line because of this. And this is a rare situation where it shouldn't be about partisanship. The Liberals, the Conservatives, the NDPs, all of them should want to look out for the worker. But the problem is that pulp is an industry that is being targeted by the government. Forestry is one of the sectors most disproportionately impacted by the federal carbon tax. And more importantly, when the government starts talking about the impact on climate change, it's really saying that we think this is yesterday's industry, but for the workers, it is the industry of today. It is a generational impact. I've talked to people in town, and one of the things that this mill has going for it is that people who work there oftentimes are the children and grandchildren of people who have been working here. And it's not just that we should keep it open for nostalgia's sake or that we should throw out the science. No, quite to the contrary, the science is saying there's a way to do this safely, cleanly, and efficiently. But for whatever reason, the government is making that difficult. Now, the reason this is an important topic is because in an election time, people are going to politicians to say, what are you going to do for me? For the workers of this mill, that's a very simple question. What are you going to do for me? Well, how about keep the mill open, keep people working? Whenever a government talks about jobs, whenever a government talks about employment, it's always important to look at not what they're going to do to create new jobs, but what are they going to do to not block existing jobs from being rendered extinct. And that's an all too real reality for the people of the Northern Pulp Mill in Pictou, Nova Scotia. I'm here covering the stories the mainstream media isn't, and from a perspective the mainstream media isn't. It's not cheap though, but it is important. If you can chip into our election coverage efforts, please do. Head on over to tnc.news and make a contribution in whatever amount you're able to. From Nova Scotia, for True North, I'm Andrew Lawton.